and the Virtual Business Owners Network on Friday, the 6th of February. And I'm going to give a talk called 5 Steps to Identifying Your Ideal Customer Fit. And this is actually one of these mistakes that so many of us make. And it really starts when you go into business at first. You're mad keen to get your hands on any business that's coming your way. And we've all done it. We all do it. And guess what? We still do it. But we don't realize the impact it's likely to have on us as we move forward. And it's only when you sort of develop some level of confidence in running your own business that you become a bit more discerning about it. So in the sort of 5 steps, I just want to take you through just some thoughts about it. I'm not 100% right in all of these things, and I'm sure you'll find your own way, but I just wanted to give you just a few insights to how I'm thinking about these things. Yep. One of the biggest mistakes we make is we start trying to chase people and we want to work with them. And we discover very quickly they don't want to work with us. And maybe it's just we're too small, we're too inexperienced for what they need, or we haven't identified what their real problems are. And so it's vitally important that we understand who they are. And that comes from experience. And also equally important is to understand who we don't want to work with. And we all end up with them. I can tell you, we all end up with these people. And in all my 40 plus years of business experience, I meet people every week who have people that they're doing business with that they wish they weren't. And let's put it this way, hands up from me as well. I've been that soldier, and yet we've all been that soldier, and we learned the hard way, you know. And you spot some of them. Some of them are quite easy to spot because they are the ones that want everything yesterday, are the slowest to pay, want to pay the least for it, and the biggest nuisance. And it just takes confidence to get rid of them. I was delivering a workshop to Leo Connect, and in that there was a marketeer there, and she was talking about a major decision she had, that there was one company giving her about 35% of her business, which is far too much and should have been diluted anyway. But this is just inexperience, and unfortunately, you know, we all have to learn it some way. And so anyway, she came into the next meeting, which was 2 weeks later, and she said, "I made a decision. I got rid of them."
Huh.
And she said, "It's the best thing I've ever done. It was a weight lifted off my shoulders. And within 2 or 3 days, I'd got 2 more new clients that started taking up some of the slack that this one had made available." So she said, it's just something I had to do. It was sitting on me for so long, best part of a year. And it was just a decision. And I think we all have to cross that river when we get to it at a stage. Just about confidence and experience in business. So just have a look through who you're doing business with. These are the time suckers, the ones that really, really kill you altogether, that you dread talking to. And also be careful of the ones when you're early in business who, I've got a small project, and if you do this one cheap, I've a much bigger one coming along. We've hands up anybody who's had that experience. Yeah, of course, we've all had it. I worked on it. I fell for it in the initial stages, you know, because we're all desperate for business, and it was interesting. What you do discover is there's never a big project. And then when you sit back and analyze it, there was never going to be a big project, because if you're doing a small one on the cheap, why would they pay you full money for a big one? You know, so that's the logic behind it. So how I position myself was, I'd say, yes, I'd delight to take on your project. We'll charge you the full fee for that, and we'll retrospectively discount it when the large project comes in. And guess what? Never had one. In over 40 years, never had one that came in. So there was a lesson to be had there. So here's a little framework to identify who your ideal customers are. And I came across part of this through the Professional Speaking Association, about maybe 10 years ago when I was president. And I won't give her full name, but Maura, who was based down in Limerick, did this and this exercise and had done it to a T. I could not believe it. She actually demonstrated with the figures that were involved. And I can tell you, this was a woman who was actually making somewhere north of 300,000 a year and only working 4 months of that year. Now, while I saw it all, unfortunately, I haven't learned to do it myself, but there again, she had. And she actually was dealing with a female profile that fitted what she was offering. So it was gender specific. But she had identified the person right down and actually put a name on them. Let's call it Julie. She called them Julie, and she had it so well defined. She was then able to take this customer on a journey and upsell them across various stages of our platform. And she had invested in, I think it was Javel or something like that, one of those online platforms, which was quite expensive at the time. I'm sure there's better ones and less expensive ones out there. But she showed how she initially engaged with them and then through social media brought them together. And her sort of major interaction was at the beginning to recruit them. But once she got them in and they had bought into what she was offering, they were then moved through automated emails. And I'm talking about 10 years ago, and through various offerings to be migrated up through her system. It was fascinating to watch. And really, what I'm saying here is that's available for anybody. But what you need to do is the homework. You know, who are they? Where would you find them? You know, I talked about this in a presentation recently about where are you fishing for your clients. This is about identifying, sitting down and doing this exercise. All the details are here. And it's to understand, to get inside their heads. And also, more importantly, the final bit is, how am I going to engage with them? Now, so many of us make the mistake, and I've done it for donkey's years, is messing around on social media. I've yet to get a client from social media. I've yet to get a client from my website. Now, my website is just like a glorified business card for most people who go onto it. My clients come through networking and referral. So my focus this year for 2026, Alec is going to be a better person in business. After all these years of experience, you'd think he'd know better, but he hasn't. Anyway, so there's the thing, and you'll see the video of this you can pick up. So what I'm going to do in the next slide is show you how I apply it to myself for 2026. So answering my own questions. Where typically do these businesses come to me? And while it sounds a bit open and wide, I've worked across multiple sectors, from specialized lighting people to solar energy to games to all sorts of things. So it fits with virtually any of that. But let's start refining it. Typically, the companies are $500,000 a year. There are exceptions, but generally it's $500,000 a year plus are the most likely. Where are they based? Dublin is the ideal place. Sure enough, I've done business in Waterford, and delighted to travel down to Waterford. It's a nice drive down there. But ideally, I'm looking for Dublin. And who am I dealing with? There we go, the CEO or owner. I'm not interested in the others in that company. They're of no interest to me, so I don't need to be focusing on them. What I have to offer doesn't fit it. And if we look at the central section is, why are they engaging with me? And as you can see, it's the usual things, poor in time, at the cold face, all of those things. They want to free up time for loved ones. They want a sounding board. Am I making a decision in my own world, or can I get a feedback from somebody who's independent and has experience, who might say, well, have you thought about this or thought about that or the other? And they're tired, they lack time. And then where can I find them? Networking and referrals. So I've refined what I'm looking for going forward into 2026. And I'm suggesting all you have to do is do the same exercise. So there's the simple steps, 5 simple steps, which you can have in the video. And that should help you refine who you're dealing with. I've axed out, I'd say I had about 5 different offerings. I've axed out 3 of them this year. They're gone. Because I was focusing on them, thinking that there's business there, but there's very little business and weren't deserved of my time. So I'm focusing on the 2 key elements that will, bring in money for me this year. I've talked about this before, and I would suggest, and use this as your template. People ask what you do, and it's all right to say I'm an accountant, I'm this, I'm a solicitor, I'm in recruitment. But realistically, the exercise is to be able to say something that defines who your audience are. I keep changing this, but as you can see there, so who uses me? SME business owners with a turnover of more than 500,000 a year. What did they do? They piggyback my 40 years of business experience across multiple sectors. Why? To reclaim time with loved ones and to shortcut their journey to more fruitful and rewarding life. So who am I interested in? Why do they use me? And what's the benefit they get out of it? All put into a sentence. And that's your, if you want to call it, an elevator pitch. But most businesses don't have that. And I suggest have a look yourself and do the exercise. I think it'll be quite a revealing exercise once you actually put it into a sentence. And it means then when somebody asks you, what do? You can very succinctly say, this is me. That's it. Hopefully, that's less than 10 minutes. It is. If anybody's any questions, happy to answer them.